The electric vehicle market got a massive new competitor this week when Chevrolet announced the new Silverado EV, 440 miles of range, $95,000 price tag. And when I say massive competitor, I mean this is probably the biggest electric vehicle that we have ever seen made. And I think it's actually one of the most compelling. It's much bigger than something like the Rivian R1T, which is just limited in size. It's not necessarily big enough to be a traditional work truck. It's pretty small if you're going to have a family style truck, which is really what trucks have become, is kind of a car with a truck bed attached. So this is everything about a truck, all the power, all the range, all of the necessary tools that you need. And I think it could be really compelling. Now, massive price point, but this is a big move by Chevrolet and General Motors moving into the electric vehicle space. So it's a vehicle that I think we need to pay attention to in 2024. I'm going to dig into that and the competition in this video. My name is Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video's sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. So let's start with the details about this new vehicle. We knew that the Silverado EV was coming, but now we know a little bit more about the details and pricing. I think all of these vehicles are generally going to be more expensive than a lot of these companies originally thought. So these are the details from a specs perspective: 440 miles of range, more standard range than any other competitor. That's just a massive amount of range for really any vehicle. But I think for a truck, it's really important because if you're going to be using a truck for work and have all of the electric tools available, you got to have a lot of range there. A lot of trucks today just simply run all day. I know I used to work on a construction site and you would have multiple trucks running. Sometimes they were running generators. Sometimes they were running just to keep the air conditioning on, to be honest. Sometimes they were running to run other pieces of equipment. But a traditional vehicle, a traditional truck, can't just have limited range because it's not going to be usable for the kind of things that people use trucks for. So I think that's really critical, is that Chevrolet, very well known for their Silverado trucks, and so they know what customers want. I'll get to some of those details and some of the little nuances in the vehicle, but I think that was really impressive because it takes away any of that range anxiety. You also have a ton of torque and power, and 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. That's maybe not all that important for a truck, but if you're buying a truck to look cool, have a big vehicle, being able to go really fast is really cool too. Here are some of the other details about this truck. This is actually EPA estimated range of 450 miles. GM estimated it at 440 miles. But on the first edition, the RST first edition, they're going to have 4-wheel steering. So this has become more popular with a lot of these vehicles. Automatic adaptive air suspension, multi-flex midgate, which I'll talk about in a second, a huge screen in the infotainment system, and also includes Super Cruise. A couple of the details that we know of, at least initially, there is an e-trunk and underhood storage. I believe there's a plug-in up front as well. I'll get to a couple more of those. 24-inch aluminum wheels. These are massive wheels. I remember when 20-inch wheels were really big wheels. Now companies are building massive wheels as a standard feature. And I think this, again, especially for this $95,000 price point, is just Chevy wants to check all the boxes for this being a cool vehicle that people are going to be willing to spend a ton of money on. You don't want to have anything that is going to be criticized by customers. A huge panoramic moonroof, and then there are some other features here, like what they call the multi-flex midgate. So basically like a mini tailgate on the inside that goes in to the vehicle. This is so you can fit larger items. It says you can fit items up to 10 feet, 10 inches long with that flex gate down. And then with everything up, you still have almost 6 feet of length there. Fit a bike. This is one of the things that, especially if you look at something like the R1T, they actually have a bike rack that you can put on top of the truck bed because it's not big enough to fit a bike in there. The flex forward tailgate, again, just another nice feature. They'll also be introducing what they call the Chevy Silverado EVWT, or work truck. 450 miles of range, so same amount of range basically, but provides you 120 volt outlet in the front, bag ties, cargo ties. What they say is 12.2 kilowatts of offboarding power capacity, so you can run a bunch of equipment. This is a battery power vehicle, so they have 6 outlets, including one 240 volt AC outlet. So again, this is a work truck. This is going to be very, very useful for a lot of people. And I think that could potentially be a major selling point. Very different than a traditional gasoline powered truck, but maybe there's some nice advantages that people are going to find value in. So I think kind of checks a lot of the boxes as far as the truck goes. Again, very high price point, but those are going to come down as more trims become available. And this is where I think you want to be in an EV. From an EV perspective, is checking all the boxes that customers are going to be asking for, especially when you're comparing yourself to something like the Ford F-150 Lightning. The initial comparison is going to be to this Platinum series. Platinum gets 300 miles of range. So if you're looking at a $92,000 vehicle, are you willing to spend an extra $3,000 to get one that has 440 miles of range? That seems like a pretty compelling value proposition. Start to go down to some of the lower trims, 70,000, 50,000. You still get 320 miles of range. So pretty good range. We'll see where Chevy comes in with some of their lower trims. The other big comparison is going to be the R1T. This is going to have similar towing, so still a lot of power in this vehicle. But again, you're going to have same number of seats. I think probably a little bit more room on the inside of the Silverado EV, and then a much bigger bed as well. It's about 16 inches longer, the Silverado. It's about 16 inches longer than the R1T, so a significantly bigger vehicle. In the range, you're going to be at the high end of Rivian's range as well. 410 miles of range for the Rivian, and the price point for that 410 miles is going to be $94,000 with this Max Pack. So here again, if Rivian is telling the truth that they're getting a ton of demand for these larger battery packs and more power in their vehicles, then it's going to be pretty compelling to look at the Chevy Silverado EV versus something like the R1T. $1,000 more, you get more range, much, much bigger vehicle, much bigger bed, and I think a really compelling design. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. Now, I didn't compare this to Tesla's Cybertruck because I think that's just a very different market. People who are traditionally interested in trucks, in Chevys, are probably not going to be interested in the Tesla Cybertruck. But it is going to be interesting to see if Chevy and GM are able to sell customers on buying an electric vehicle as opposed to a traditional gas-powered vehicle in the truck market particularly. There are a lot of compelling reasons: better torque from battery-powered vehicles and electric motors. You get multiple 120-volt plugs. So this would be, I think, a phenomenal work truck if it gets adoption. So that's what we'll see over the next couple of years. But I think this was a pretty compelling vehicle, especially when you compare it to what's already on the market, particularly the F-150 Lightning and the R1T from Rivian. So interesting announcement from GM. And I'm excited to see what sort of vehicles they're going to come out with at a little bit lower price point from trucks, because I think ultimately if they're going to move into the electric vehicle market, it's going to be trucks and larger SUVs that are going to be the real driver for General Motors going forward. But what do you think of the new EV Silverado? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.